Alright, welcome back everybody. This is gonna be a little bit of a special video and I'm super excited for this. I've been waiting a very long time, but in this video, we're gonna be talking about Black Widow. Now, I feel like this is pretty straightforward, but I'm just going to clarify. There will be spoilers in this video, okay? There will be Black Widow spoilers. So if you haven't seen this video, or if you haven't seen Black Widow, come back to this video later when you have watched it, or click off or something. Just don't watch it now, okay? And also, is this guy, like, bridging to me? Yeah, he is. Yeah, there's going to be spoilers. Anyways, basically, I watched Black Widow, and this is an MCU Monday video, so I wanted to give my thoughts on it. I actually watched it twice, once with my SO, and once with my parents. And both times I really enjoyed it. Basically, the first time I watched it opening night on Thursday with my SO, we got like a 8 p.m. show, I think, and we watched it and it was really good. And then the second time I watched it on Saturday with my parents, and I watched it at around 3 p.m. and then I'm actually gonna watch it another time this week with a different friend group, and we're gonna watch it on Tuesday and we'll see how it goes. It should be really fun, so I'm super excited. I'm gonna be watching it 3 times in the theaters total, so should be interesting. We'll see how it goes. But with that being said, I'm gonna kind of get into my thoughts on it and what my favorite parts were, what my least favorite parts were, my favorite characters, and this and that. With that being said, I want to start off with the opening credits scene, which was, by the way, unironically, probably my favorite part of the movie. The opening credit scene was nothing like we've ever seen in the MCU. It was completely different from everything we've ever seen in the last 23 movies. Most movies don't even have opening credit scenes, but the ones that did have them, which were, I think, Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and now this, basically, we got a very dark opening credit scene where they actually showed footage of girls being human trafficked and them playing a very dark song, and overall it's a very dark scene. But the reason I liked it so much is because the MCU really went into detail with this, and it really seemed so real and it was so good. And the MCU, for those of you that have seen the MCU for a while, know that they never really go dark, and they finally went kind of dark in this movie. Another thing I really liked is a lot of people said that this kind of set a dark tone for the movie, but it ended up being very light, and that kind of ruined their expectations for the movie, but I actually disagree. I think the entire movie was fairly dark, and it was kind of just masked with jokes, because obviously it is a Marvel movie, and if it wasn't masked with jokes, it would kind of end up being like Daredevil, which is kind of very dark overall. And I understand why they did that. While they wanted it to be dark, they didn't want it to be a completely just dark movie and very sad or anything. They still wanted to have a storyline and some humor, of course. And how can you have David Harbour in a movie and not have it be funny? Come on. Like, the Red Guardian did an amazing job. It was super funny. Yelena and the Red Guardian both had very funny roles, and honestly, they carried the movie in my opinion. So after the opening credits scene, we kind of just got into it. I'm not going to go into detail and explain every detail of the movie or explain the whole plot or anything. I'm just going to say, in terms of the action, it was a 10 out of 10 movie. I really enjoyed it. In terms of the plot, it was, I mean, I'd say like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Like, the plot was basic, okay? It was a subplot. It wasn't supposed to be anything crazy. The whole point of the movie was just, it was just a movie for Natasha, and it wasn't supposed to be anything crazy in the first place, and it wasn't, but it was still really good. It was a simple plot, and I really enjoyed it. Now, with that being said, that is in disregard that the movie was super entertaining and super action-packed. There was a lot of fight scenes, especially at the end. Super good fight scenes. The one problem I had with the movie was the fact that, I know a lot of people have said this, but the fact that Taskmaster was really downplayed in the movie. They kind of ruined his character from the comics, and in the comics, if you guys don't know, Taskmaster was Anthony Masters, and he was super powerful, super dangerous, but he also had a personality. He fought off of mimicking his opponent's moves, which made him really good. And in Black Widow, he didn't really do that much, or I guess I should say she, because they actually gender swapped Taskmaster for Black Widow, which isn't the problem. I think the problem was more just the fact that Taskmaster itself kind of just seemed like a droid rather than a human, and they gave her a very generic plot, and they didn't really even go into detail with it. So that was kind of one of the problems with this movie. I would have also preferred if they gave Red Guardian more screen time and went more into his past as well, because all we really got was just a bunch of lines about what happened, and looks like we won. Now, I am referring to the lack of screen time Red Guardian got, but I don't really blame the current situation. I would rather just say that it's really sad that Black Widow didn't get a trilogy, because after watching this movie, I think Black Widow could have definitely gotten a trilogy earlier in the MCU, and I'm not gonna lie, she really didn't get what she deserved, okay? Like, there was so much information that we were kind of just handed to, and they really didn't have the time to go into detail about it. For example, Budapest and Red Guardian's past, and, you know, just everything overall. Like, I feel like this could have definitely been a trilogy, but I don't really blame Kevin Feige or anyone for that. I think it's just more of like a thing that should have happened a long time ago. The movie was still really good. I think that a lot of people kind of overhate the movie. I think it was still very good. I watched it twice, and I actually enjoyed it the second time more than the first time, because the first time I was trying to kind of, I don't know, I was just trying to understand what was really going on, and I think that for me personally, it's a lot easier for me to understand what's going on in a movie when I watch it back and really kind of put the plot together and connect the dots. I would say a lot of stuff happened way too fast, and they didn't go too much into detail about her past and stuff. And for those of you that don't know, this movie was actually taking place after Captain America's Civil War, and that's why they didn't actually go really into Natasha's past nearly as much as we thought they would. But I mean, you know, there's only so much they can do. I understand not wanting to make the movie too long. I also think that the end scene, or the final Taskmaster versus Black Widow fight, could have been way longer and way better. If I was the writers, what I would have done is I would have had Natasha's entire family fight Taskmaster by themselves and kind of do a 4v1 against them, and have Taskmaster actually win the fight, or I guess start heading towards winning, but I guess in a very difficult manner get taken down by Natasha at the end of the fight scene. But I think that if it was a 4v1 rather than just like a 1v1 in like a 30-second long fight, if it was like a 4v1, it would have been way more intense and way better in my opinion, and it would have made the movie way more entertaining, at least for the end part. I don't know, I just feel like Taskmaster really did not get the screen time that she or he deserved. I don't know whether to refer to the comic book version or the MCU version, but with that being said, I really hope we see more of the Taskmaster in the future, because honestly, like, yeah, that wasn't a crazy performance for them. I think that was one of Marvel's lesser, I guess, good villains, and I don't know, I really hope that there's another Taskmaster in the future of the MCU, because they really could have wasted a villain here, and it's a little sad, but you know what, it's okay. I know I just said a bunch of bad things about this movie, but don't get me wrong, okay, there were a lot of good things about the movie. I really liked the movie, okay, it was an overall very good movie. I don't want people to think I'm a hater or anything. I truly enjoyed it, okay? It was a truly good movie. I'm kind of just being critical and talking about the parts I didn't like rather than the parts I did like. With that being said, I would probably rate the movie in terms of an MCU movie, 7 out of 10, and if we were disregarding the fact that it is an MCU movie, I would probably rate it an 8 or a 9 out of 10. So, yes, my rating actually varies depending on if you want to factor the fact that it's an MCU movie or not, because in my opinion, a lot of the MCU's movies are so good that they have a complete different expectation from normal movies, like Fast and the Furious or something, which, by the way, was horrible. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I watched Fast and Furious 9 with my SO. That movie was hot garbage. But anyways, yeah, like, I would say the expectations for MCU movies are so high now, like, the bar is so raised, and I would say that's one of the reasons why so many people were disappointed with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier when it wasn't, like, a perfect movie or a perfect TV show, even though I thought both of those shows were really good. A lot of people were kind of upset that it wasn't super fast-paced and stuff, but they failed to realize that those weren't MCU movies. They were TV shows. They were supposed to go more in depth about the characters. They were supposed to be, they were supposed to go into detail about this stuff. It wasn't supposed to be just a super fast-paced. It was supposed to go into their character lines and stuff. So people shouldn't really have these expectations for Marvel, but it is understandable coming from the fact that Marvel has never done MCU TV shows until this year. And I mean, the other shows that weren't canon that they did do, like Daredevil and Luke Cage and Iron Fist, I mean, most of those TV shows were horrible. Daredevil and Punisher kind of carried that entire saga. But anyways, I'm kind of getting off topic. I'm kind of getting into this whole thing that I don't want to get into right now, and I think this could be better talked about in a different video, and I constantly keep tying because I'm not really warmed up and I'm just focusing on the commentary instead of the gameplay. But yeah, overall, Black Widow was super entertaining. I would say my favorite character wasn't even Natasha, it was probably Yelena. She honestly carried the movie in my opinion, along with Red Guardian. Both of them were really good, they were really funny. One of the things I really liked about this movie is, as I said earlier, the opening credit scene kind of set a dark tone for the movie, and while people say the movie wasn't very dark, I think that Yelena and Natasha kind of used jokes as a coping mechanism for their trauma with the Red Room. For example, I'm not gonna get into it, but the period joke, that was definitely a very dark time for them, but they made jokes out of it, and this is not something uncommon. We've seen this before with Thor. When he got fat and when he was depressed, he used humor as a coping mechanism, and that's something I really like with Marvel, how they kind of show depression in its true form rather than, I guess, just being really mad or something, because I know a lot of people wanted Thor to be really pissed off in Endgame and just be super strong and powerful, but instead we got a very fat and weak Thor, which I actually preferred, unlike other people. That might be an unpopular opinion. But yeah, I really liked how they masked this dark tone with jokes to kind of throw people off and kind of set a mixed, I guess, vibe to the movie. I think that really opens up people and lets them portray the movie however they want to, and really like gives more depth to the characters and shows that they really are just human, even though they're assassins and avengers and whatnot. But with that being said, lastly, I just want to talk about the post-credit scene, which was absolutely crazy. I will go into detail about what the post-credit scene was. Basically, it was a time jump to after Endgame. We saw Yelena go to Natasha's grave, which was a very sad and emotional scene. And then we saw Val right next to Yelena, and for those of you that don't know who Val is, she was actually Madam Hydra, or a form of Madam Hydra in the comics. She is basically going to form the Thunderbolts, or the Dark Avengers, we'll see, probably the Thunderbolts in the MCU, and she kind of plotted Yelena against Clint Barton, and kind of made her think that Clint was responsible for Natasha's death. So it's going to be really entertaining. I'm really excited. This movie directly just sets up for the Thunderbolts and Hawkeye, so I'm super excited to see where they go with this, and I think it's going to be really good. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome, and I'm super excited. Now, if I had to give my predictions for Hawkeye, I think what's going to happen is Yelena is going to have a fight scene with Clint. They're actually going to talk about what happened on Vormir, and they're actually going to become friends, because I don't think logically that Yelena would be the person to just kind of beat someone up without listening to the full story, because what actually happened at the post-credit scene was that Val, she was the person that gave US Agent his suit at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Val plotted Yelena against Clint by making him look like he was responsible for her death. I mean, which he wasn't. We've all seen Endgame, and we all know that Clint tried to sacrifice his own life twice, and Natasha wanted to be the one to go, because honestly, she wanted to do it for herself. She finally wanted to do something for herself and make that sacrifice that she always wanted to do, and she knew Clint had a family. So, I mean, with that being said, that was Black Widow. 7, 8, 9 out of 10. 7 if you count it as an MCU movie. Super good movie. I wouldn't say it was top 5 or anything, but a very good movie. But with that being said, anyways, I hope everyone enjoyed this video. It's a little bit longer, but I really enjoyed talking about it. Have a nice day, everyone. Peace out.